Welcome back, everyone. I'm John Furrier, theCUBE. Here at our NYSE studio, of course, we have our Palo Alto studio connecting Silicon Valley and Wall Street. Tech and money are coming together. Technology and the capital markets are here. The market that we all talk about here at the NYSE is technology is the market. We're seeing that in our crypto Trailblazers series, of which we have another episode here. Daniel Liu is the CEO of Republic Technologies. Again, the pioneers are really connecting in technology into the financial stack, the infrastructure. Thanks for coming on theCUBE and being part of our crypto Trailblazers series. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, John. Great to be here.
So we were just talking before we came on camera about how just the imagination of what you can think about in terms of value. It's a fever pitch in terms of Bitcoin, Ethereum, but the real world of physical, digital coming together when you have physical AI and physical financial instrumentation, the data coming together. This is causing a lot of conversations in crypto around real world assets on chain. Hot conversation last year, probably one of the number one things we've talked about besides the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then the developer community is emerging around that. So you have two forces that are coming together. The decentralized infrastructure that's programmable and the money system or financial stack on it. This is probably one of the most popular conversations, and it's just getting started. What's your reaction?
Yeah, John, this is extremely exciting. We look at this as really just the beginning. If you look back when Ethereum just started, there were a lot of predictions where everyone said the whole planet would be tokenized. And back then, it seemed a little bit like a fever dream, but now, especially with the regulation coming and a lot more clarity, I do believe it's possible. And naturally, they'll start with the financial assets, like all the ones you just mentioned. I think real estate very likely as well. Anything that is tied to a monetary value. But eventually, when we really start to scale, I think all 900 trillion or more of the total world's assets will go on chain. And so this will range anywhere from intellectual property down to maybe even your parking ticket. This could be something that is physical, like you mentioned. I think the whole world will be tokenized. Yeah. And we really want to be there when that happens. I think it's coming very soon.
A lot of people get caught up into the hype around the price of this, the price of that, bubble this, bubble that. It's kind of bubblish in some areas, obviously AI, but when you think about the convergence of real world and digital coming together, I've been covering tech for many, many decades. This is the first time where you see digital and physical at a first party level, fully integrating, where it's completely seamless. Explain that concept, because I think a lot of people who are educated, who aren't in the inside the ropes or in the industry, are kind of like, well, what does it all mean? Explain the relevance and scope of the digital physical integration.
Yeah, I think it's just a natural transition, right? As we move from something like paper money to our digital currencies, when you look back, it looks like you would never have chosen to use paper money in the first place if we had that choice. And so I think this is really just a better user experience. It's obviously better for the institutions because more transparency, they're able to go get higher levels of security for their money that they're trying to keep safe. And this should transition our entire society to be fully digital.
And we're already kind of digital already. I'm in New York, I'm moving around, I take the subway, people pull out their iPhone. We're just out the other day with a bunch of folks and they wanted to tip the guy at the door, and he was like, who's got cash on them? Like, no one actually had cash. I had maybe $10 here, but it used to be you carry some good amount of paper money, but literally no one had any money. They had Venmo, the guy didn't have Venmo. So like that already is a use case. Why not have a digital wallet in your phone? That's coming, it's already here. So we're already there. I think we're kind of the frog in boiling water. So I think that's kind of not a debate. I think people can generally get that concept. But I want to ask you kind of where it goes from there, because now you have, and that's just, by the way, centralized databases, there's a tech behind that, but the user experience is seamless with digital. What does it look like when you look at crypto infrastructure? What has to happen next to make it fully user friendly?
Yeah, if we're talking about the broader, call it like user retail market, it's like your Venmos, for example, I think that the entire wallet infrastructure really needs to be reworked. Even something as simple as the 12 words, I personally love them. I have a notebook full of probably thousands of 12 words that I've written down. But
don't tell me where you live, where that notebook is.
Yeah, it's locked away. But at the end of the day, your average mom and pop, even your new kid who might be capable of doing this would not want to do it. And so that level of friction must be eliminated completely, and it just starts there. I think when you talk about security of the blockchain, that's something that's been working on. Scalability, people have been working on for a long time. Yep. It's just the UI.
Talk about your venture, Republic Technologies. What are you guys working on? What's the key things you're doing right now, and how does that scale out to real world assets?
Sure. So Republic Technologies, we are the largest publicly listed Ethereum holder in Canada, and we offer a whole suite of validator services. So as we're talking about financial versus tech, some of our more financial clients, they may purely care about the yield. They want to get involved in staking. We're able to help them do it in a reliable way. But then on the more technical developer side, you get clients that perhaps want to look into the blockchain, access some data, and that's when things like MEV protection become very crucial to them. And so we offer both, and the whole stack, something that any client can come to us for. Eventually, we hope to expand and be alongside those who are building for retail and the more UI UX.
So you're like a full service shop, if you will, platform, not just a financial house getting a bunch of Ethereum and leveraging it.
We plan to really put the Ethereum to work, right? It's a productive asset. And I think might have been 2017. Brian Armstrong gave a really good analogy for Ethereum. Don't quote me, I'm pretty sure it was him, but the analogy compared Ethereum to a train. And essentially the train tracks were the Ethereum blockchain itself. The fuel was the Ethereum token, and then each of the boxcars carrying whatever it might be carrying, the supplies, would be the applications. Us as Republic Technologies, in this scenario, we are the conductor. We just want to make sure the train is going where it needs to be on time, and everyone's products, money are protected.
Bitcoin dropped a little bit in the current market. It was over 100,000. Ethereum's, I think, 3,300, around that area, give or take. Big delta in numbers. People always talk about Bitcoin as a store of value. But one thing that's been attractive about Ethereum, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is that it had all the same attributes as Bitcoin, but it was very developer friendly. And we think with exchanges, you're going to see more exchanges, you're going to see more apps on the network. It creates a lot of headroom for Ethereum. So if someone's interested in, say, buying Ethereum or even using it, how would you explain the future value opportunity for Ethereum?
I think everyone will need it in order to interact with the world. It's just going to be something that's going to be built into our wallets. We'll have to have ways to automate the gas, make sure everything's seamless, but people will be using it without even knowing, and that's what I predict. And how that takes shape, it's hard to say. I give it 5 years and it will be clear.
I was talking to a friend, he's building an exchange, has all the things in place, and his target audience was communities that have applications. And the obvious ones are gaming, you see those out, the early adopters. What's your vision on those future systems? Because they're systems basically, they have currency, they have exchanges, there's things needed. What's your vision on how that's going to develop? Because you can almost connect the dots and say, hey, if developers start really kicking into high gear, you're going to start to see all these native blockchain-enabled apps on Ethereum to take advantage of the programmability.
Yep.
What does that look like in your mind's eye?
I think we get something where once everything is on chain, because everything is composable, very malleable, like you suggest, all of these applications can begin talking to each other in a trustless way without human input, through smart contracts, through whatever protocols that are being built. And once that can happen, and you have this kind of free flow of data and potentially money, then everything becomes more efficient. My user experience, I no longer have to perhaps connect to a bank to do anything I want on Twitter. I no longer have to go and get verified for every single institution I need to pass KYC at because it's already in my wallet. I think things like this are going to be incredible and should be really the forces that drive.
I mean, that's the friction. You're removing the friction.
Yes, completely.
All right, talk about the liquidity trends you're seeing right now. That seems to be shifting. What's your take on liquidity in the market right now?
Yeah, I mean, liquidity, everyone's talking about, right? We see the two big factors being the Fed and kind of like the global macro. And so when we think about how this affects Bitcoin specifically, traditionally, Bitcoin typically lags these major liquidity injections by about 4 to 6 weeks. So starting from in December, when the Fed announced they'd be buying that 40 billion every single month, we now see in January some of that kind of flowing through to Bitcoin. Obviously, still very volatile, as you suggest, but I think long term, that uncertainty should trend up, at least this year, and people will choose to go to Bitcoin.
Why is Bitcoin lagging? What's the force there? Just it's slower in terms of the velocity. What's the lag attributed to?
It's definitely a riskier asset, right? So higher beta, people want to take a little bit more time to digest what's happening, and the rails that people are used to purchasing, it's not your big institutions. They're not going to think, oh, let me go get some Bitcoin first. They'll think about all the other assets.
So the volatility has changed. Okay, macro risks at play in the market. What are some of the macro risks?
I mean, obviously, Japan, Greenland, Iran, that we kind of see that actually in the 10-year curving up as well. So that is something we're paying close attention to. But in terms of macro, we also want to look at how the Fed is behaving, right? That 40 billion that I mentioned, they're actually only purchasing very short-dated bonds versus typically they do longer-dated ones. I think that shows the uncertainty and risk, and something we'll be watching.
On the momentum around Ethereum, talk about what's in the market now. How would you talk about the momentum? Obviously, stable coins, been great. Real world assets, massive opportunity. I mean, trillions and trillions of dollars coming online. Now the data is being instrumented.
Absolutely. So we see an influx of assets being tokenized. And so the whole world is comprised, of around 900 trillion of assets. Yeah. Half of these are financial assets. So that 450 trillion is already being moved on chain as we speak today. This is imminent and something that we're preparing for. But then that other 450 trillion of non-financial assets that people hold for utility, I think will also be tokenized. And that's really going to be a revolution.
Yeah, that's going to be a revolution for sure. I totally agree. Talk about your business model, what you guys are doing now. Who are your main clients? What's the value proposition? What's the engagements look like?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're just kind of in our accumulation phase. In order to go and really properly service our customers, we want to go and get digital oil, as much of it. So it really stockpile.
You want to mop up as much Ethereum as possible?
Yeah, and then just like Rockefeller, right? We're here in New York. Before we had cars, before we had machinery, he went and got all the oil so well, he had to be broken up into, I believe, 30 companies. And we plan to do something similar.
Talk about some of the services that you're going to be enabling, because I think this is a key value to what you guys are doing is once you have that oil, you got new revenue models, potentially, you got staking, you got credit, all kinds of things emerge. Mm-hmm. What are some of the emergent enabled, accelerated enabled value?
Yeah, so payment processing for sure, starting with stablecoins. Everyone's talked about that, but we really want to be involved with tokenization. And that'll start with the financial assets, moved on to physical assets, any type of asset. I think that the company or the group that really makes the tokenization kind of standard is going to be a big winner.
People are watching this video. Who should call you and why should they call you? Or ping you or whatever, DM you? What's the value? What's going on in their world would make them get involved and lean into what you're doing?
I think if you want some exposure to Ethereum, to the ecosystem that's booming, then definitely call me up. It might not be to own some, but if you want to learn, I'm always happy to chat. I've been educating folks on Ethereum since 2017, so that's something I.
You rode the pre-ICO bubble, and then all the NFTs and all that stuff. But now it's real. I mean, the money's hitting the table.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had one of the first 100 accounts on OpenSea, so it's been a long journey.
You're definitely a trailblazer. Okay, what's the biggest learning? Okay, you certainly qualify as an OG trailblazer. Thanks for coming on. At that time, it was very much education. It was a very small group of people at that time, evangelizing, giving away, hey, what's your wallet? I'll send you some Ethereum. That's the way it used to be around 2017. It was a very communal opportunity.
Yes.
Now you've gotten through that regime change in the US, certainly outside the United States, been booming. What's been the key learnings for you, and then how you shape that into your current execution?
Over the years, I would say that really the number one learning is how to accept volatility. I think coming from a finance background, getting into crypto, having something move 20, 30% a day is unheard of. It's something that would probably give most folks here a heart attack 20 years ago. And so having that change really taught me a lot of how to control myself, how to think about the world, how to think about new products. And when you kind of apply that in the context of technology, volatility actually is a good thing. It means that folks are experimenting. It means that there's innovation, and innovation doesn't always work, but it's pushing in the right direction. And so I would say, we're extremely early. I would say that volatility is good, and hopefully it lasts for
it's a market's developing. Volatility is an indicator of market acceptance.
Exactly. I mean, like if Bitcoin traded like the S&P today, it would not be very exciting. But also, by that standard, it'd also probably be $1 million a coin. And so, yeah.
I mean, it's a long game view for sure. What are some of your North Star first principles as you are here at the trailblazing side of it? It's going mainstream. We're starting to see that. Real world assets, in my opinion, no doubt will be on chain. Everything from forestry to agriculture to marine life. Everything's going to be, anything that's an asset should be on chain. Now, if there's data associated with it. So what's your long game first principles?
Yeah, I think I really pay attention to the types of people that are purchasing these assets. And that's actually a big shift we've seen this cycle as well. With the institutions that you mentioned coming in, the trading volumes is something that actually tells a lot. And when you look at trading volumes historically, on the weekends, it's somewhere around 60 to 70% of weekday volume. But this cycle, it's dropped to anywhere between 10 to 30% of weekday volume. And to me, that's very obvious. The institutions that are buying this, they are not used to trading on the weekends. They don't prefer to. They have the way they handle their business. And so when you see volumes like this shift, it means really the money is coming in, and the people who are in here now are not going to be thinking 1 year, 2 years, they think in decades.
Yeah, it's a platform shift.
Yes.
What's the biggest advice you give others that are coming into the industry? You're starting to see a lot of in-migration, certainly a lot of mainstream institutions. It feels less us versus them, but more collaborative as the money system gets recasted. What's your biggest advice for people coming in?
I would say dive in, don't be afraid. And I say that because a lot of times people think of crypto as a place where you might just randomly send your money away and lose it all. But that happens everywhere. I'm pretty sure even today we still have those South African princes that are sending scam emails and getting people off of Venmo, right?
Yeah.
So this happens around the world. It's not unique to crypto. It's a new technology. It's going to happen. Protect yourself, of course, but don't let that.
I think the world's pretty much locked in. You got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, some real stable chains and currencies that have different use cases. Talk about that use case diversity between the different approaches. And also you got the shit coins out there. You got other stuff out there that's going to, that's speculative.
Yep.
Yeah. Meme coins, okay, whatever.
I'm not too sure diversity is a good thing right now, given that we're still kind of laying the frameworks for how all these future applications will be built, right? But I think that each chain does have unique attributes. I know some chains might be perhaps a little bit faster, whereas someone who is more of a financial institution, you prefer something that's a little bit slower and secure versus fast, like a social media platform might prefer. And something like that, I think, will start to develop.
So there's trade-offs based on what the use cases are and what the applications are.
Yes.
Well, what's your focus for this year? Give a plug for the company. What are you guys looking to do? What are you optimizing for? What's your focus?
We're just going to be working on building out our treasury. We're going to be consistently looking to generate a yield, staking as much as we can, bumping that up from the 2.5% base to upwards of maybe 6 to 8%. We have our synthetic mining going on, which is performing really, really well, and we really hope to just continue
Explain that product.
So synthetic mining is just a way for us to kind of take our idle cash and quote unquote mine Ethereum. And essentially what we do is we sell cash secured put options, either at the market or slightly below market, and we earn a premium for doing that. If it settles, then great, we bought it at a price that we were happy with. And if it doesn't, then it's fine. We take the premium as profit and roll it into next week. So that's something that's performed really well.
So it's part of your oil acquisition, as you call it, basically getting more Ethereum.
Yes.
So that's working well.
Extremely well, and annualizing anywhere between 80 to 100%.
All right, I love the financial entrepreneurship. Again, new products come out of the woodwork once you have the base foundation. That's a theme we're seeing right now. Is that once the markets get set in. There's kind of entrepreneurial activity going on. It's almost like having a product manager. That's like a tech thing. Like it's not the financial market's turning into a entrepreneurial market. What's your reaction to that?
It's really amazing to sit at the intersection of tech and finance, because you really have kind of like two polar opposites, right? Like extremely risk-taking versus extremely risk-averse. And that, to me, has been incredible to watch, incredible to try and balance myself. And I'm really excited to see the two fully merge. I don't know if it will, but I think it should.
Well, Daniel, great to have you on. Certainly you're an OG pioneer, certainly a trailblazer. Huge entrepreneurial opportunity you're enabling. Congratulations, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much, John.
I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, the Crypto Trailblazer Series, really highlighting the leaders that are making the change happen, bringing in a new era, a modernization, a transformation of the financial infrastructure, and it's going to enable and accelerate a huge amount of opportunity recognition. There's going to be a fever of entrepreneurial activity. If you can see an opportunity, you can certainly capture it. The market's moving very, very fast, but we're doing our part to keep the coverage coming to you. Thanks for watching.